Hey, Miss Hollack, how are you? I just like to really thank you for this. You really don't have to do that. Most teachers would just, just give me an F on the thing. Like, thank you so much. This is really amazing that you're doing this for me. Um, you know, so all my editing tools didn't work. I don't have the iPad anymore or anything. I just have a computer. So, I printed all the things out to be more convenient. Hopefully that'll work out. But here's what I have. I have the lateral view right here, which is the side of the rat. I have the medial view, which is like, I guess, the center of the rat, the center of gravity for it. We have the, what is this, dorsal view, which is like the back of it. You can see nice, beautiful pictures of the rat. Posterior view is like, I took it as a secondary view or like bottom view. So this was the picture I had that could suffice with that, hopefully. That could fulfill that. I'm using the wrong words. Anterior view, cranial view. You have the cranial view. I think anterior is like the top or first view. And we have ventral view, and this is our wonderful ventral view. And those are our rat pictures. Now we have the body planes visual. I took body planes as like kind of the different planes of the body, how they're divided up into sections. So I found this chart on I believe the Oxford website. It was, nice. I copied this out. And this basically divides the rat up into different sections and kind of gives you like a compass for what to call those sections, etc. I believe these are the planes of the rat body. Now, the 3 questions down here. What did you find most interesting about your specimen? Now, honestly, I think we're all guilty of this. When we think of an animal, we think of something else that's bizarre and, something extremely different from us. But in reality, when you think about it, right, our bodies are slightly different sometimes, vastly different other times. But one of the things that really separates us and animals is our ability to reason and be self-reflecting, right? And, as standard philosophy would say, we have a soul and we have a conscience, a conscience, and an ability to, and in psychology, we have an ability to reason, combining both emotion and logic, not thinking independently of logic or independently of emotion, right? And this is what really separates us from animals. It's really interesting, but what is most interesting to me is how little of a physical difference the organs are from the human body. When you look at them, you realize, maybe they have their slight variations because, of course, they live in different conditions, they have different purposes to fulfill, etc. Our animal is quite similar. Is like the heart is kind of similar to our heart, just with, well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, you get what I mean. It's just some of the things are really quite similar, and I found that interesting. Which physical feature of our specimen that I find the most similar to a human? Explain. So what I found most similar to us was, if I could say, probably the stomach, because the stomach is, it. I mean, being realistic, I found that both of them look almost exactly the same. They're all connected to the same intestines, etc. They both fulfill the same exact purpose. So I thought that the stomach would definitely be the most similar to human. Which organ on my specimen that I find quite different from the human organ? Explain. Honestly, most of the stuff I could identify was so similar. I mean, I don't cut open animals all the time, but I think if I could say, probably the skin was the one where I could see the most difference, just the condition of the skin and the quality of the skin. Of course, I can't speak with confidence because it has been corrupted by, the method of storage. But I mean, if you walk into a beauty salon with the skin of a rat, everyone would just be screaming. So I think the one I could obviously tell was probably the skin. If we're talking about organs, appendages are different. I would probably say for appendages the tail, because we still have the bones and everything for that, but the tail would be my appendage. But I just think the skin was where you could really tell. Now, the heart of the specimen. and the human heart. Now we have a really high quality picture of the heart of our specimen, and then we have the human heart right here. Right here. So, comparative statements, what I found about them was, honestly, the rat heart seemed to be lower in complexity. And what I mean by that is, when you took out the rat heart to look at it, it seemed almost as if it was, a black ball, right? I think that the human heart is much more complex and it's meant to survive, in a less dense environment. When we were cutting open the rat, I found that the chest of the rat was extremely dense, like so muscular that we thought we were cutting like straight into bone or something. And we also noticed, I'm not sure if there's something wrong with our rat, but it did not have a sternum. So maybe, the muscle substituted for the sternum. But, I think the heart of the rat was meant to survive in much more like pressurized conditions because of all the muscles surrounding it, and because of the fact that it lacked a sternum. I found that it was more dense than I would think, and that's what I have to say about the hearts. Over here again, a very, very high quality of the liver and our liver. Now, the liver, I believe, along with the kidneys, is to detoxify the blood system. And our liver of the specimen is, I would say it's kind of like soft, but I haven't really cut any person up and pulled out their liver. So I can't speak with confidence about how the texture of the two livers differ. I think they seem moderately similar. I will say the rat, I'm not sure if there was something wrong with how I was cutting open the rat. It seemed to have multiple livers, even though I know that may not be true, but it looked really quite similar to a lot of the other organs on the inside of the body. I think maybe those were the gallbladders, but I don't really have too much to say on the livers. The livers look kind of similar except for the color, but that's what I have to say about the livers. And the stomach, where'd my stomach go? Oh no, here, this is it. Jeez, did I lose my stomach photo? Oof, inconvenience. Let me see. What if I go over here? Computer. Well, this right here is a stomach, right here. So that's the rat stomach. Now, what I found is that a rat stomach? That's Gabby's group. That looks a lot different from my rat stomach. But anyways, my rat stomach looked just like the human stomach, right? When we cut off the intestines, and it ended up looking a lot like what the human stomach looked like. So, I guess that's just the stomach. I think it's the most similar part in between the two, because again, as I said earlier, they fulfill the same purpose, they look exactly the same, and they're connected the same way. So I think that would be the most similar. Those are my comparative statements. And overall, I was really quite surprised because the rat's organs were, I never really think of it, but the rat's organs were really similar to human organs. A lot of them were like, for instance, the lungs were quite similar to human lungs, except they looked kind of more dense and compact. But the stomach was the same, the liver looked the same, the heart was missing a lot of complexity, but other than that, it was relatively the same. Everything's relatively the same, and it really goes to show how evolution, we all came from the same ancestor, and we began to deviate, we began to separate, right? We all have the same roots, even though some of us have capacities and abilities which other species will never have, right? For instance, humans have the ability to consciously reason, and I could talk about philosophy and psychology forever, but it's to me, it was really quite amazing how similar the two were on the inside, and how, you know, what really interests me is how evolution came about the bee. You know, I would love to take apart the brain and take a look at the brain, but you know, it's kind of entrapped in that skull. You know, I had a lot of fun with this lab project in biology year, honestly. A lot of it was difficult, a lot of it was fun. I really enjoy biology, and it's something that intrigues me and always will intrigue me. And I'm not concerned with the science of biology, I'm concerned with how things work. And that's what really truly intrigues me is, you know, with biology, you're dealing with different things, with different. Biology is a moderately general term of science sometimes, right? The study of life. I'm really interested in how life works and how a lot of things work like that. Is something that really sparks my mind. But you know, thank you so much for an amazing year. I'll remember. You know, there were rough parts, there were fun parts. You know, I loved it. Thank you. I really appreciate this that you're doing. Most teachers would just straight up give me a 0 and say, "Hey, look, you know, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna give you a 0." You know, just really, I really appreciate this. I can't tell you how much I'm thankful. You know, please have a blessed summer.